German blood. That same blood that we have seen in great Americans. For what makes an American is not any special, precious sort of blood, but the tradition we have inherited. It's tradition, not blood, that patterns the way we think and act and feel. Our ancestors came here to escape tyranny. That's part of the American tradition. That's why no American can believe in any government that is not of the people, by the people, and for the people. They came to be able to pray in any way they wanted, or in any church they wanted. That's why freedom of religion is part of our tradition. In school, we learned that none of us is any better than any other American, or anybody else in the world for that matter. That there is no privileged few, that all men have equal rights. That's the tradition we were brought up in. At home, at school, among our friends, at our jobs. That is the tradition that has made us what we are. Now, what is the tradition that has made this man? How does it differ from ours? That's what we have to find out. These Germans were selected by Nazi cameras as ideal German types. Let's call one of them Carl Schmidt, a self-termed member of the master race who goose-stepped his way across an entire continent. His father did the same goose-step and followed the same road of conquest. And the grandfather of Carl Schmidt did the same goose-step and trod the same path of aggression. The same goose-step, the same will of aggression, the same lust for conquest. You knew their leader as Hitler. Your father knew the leader as the Kaiser. Your grandfather remembers Bismarck. You faced the Nazi menace. Your father's generation was threatened by the Huns. In your grandfather's day, there were the Prussians. The Nazis, the Huns, the Prussians. 3 different names for 3 generations of Germans, attempting to inflict their will upon others by force. 3 generations following a tradition so different from ours.
Let's go back even further and see how this tradition began. 150 years ago, there was no single country called Germany. Instead, a loose conglomeration of 300 little states without a common history, religion, or literature. In America, even at that time, we were living under the democratic constitution we enjoy today. The British could look back on hundreds of years of parliamentary government. The French had made their revolution in the name of liberty, equality, fraternity. But the 300 little German states were still the property of autocratic princes and ruled without the consent of their peoples. Not one had a constitution, not one had a parliament, not one had freedom of speech or of the press or of assembly. Instead, a rigidly organized medieval society with all power centralized in the hands of the feudal lords. The prime example of this was Prussia, the most aggressive of the German states, where the Junkers, the military caste of landowners, ruled their peasants with iron discipline. To perpetuate this feudal militaristic society, the Prussian king, Frederick the Great, established a rigid code of laws administered by a host of state officials answerable only to him. This was the perfect system to prevent any rise of liberty among his subjects. It was also the perfect system to make possible ruthless aggression against the world. I begin by taking